Yeah. And also plantation management on degraded environments. Yes, of course, we also have some areas in the mangroves as that considered to be degraded, and also some of them are remain barren from the beginning, without vegetation, maybe because of the higher elevation. So such kind of areas she has been working very well, and she is going to share knowledge today, such kind of vast knowledge with us, to benefit our students, our research expertise capacity, and also for possible collaborations with the FRIM. FRIM is one of the best institutes in Malaysia to collaborate with. And if I say a few more words about her work experience, Dr. Jeyanny is working in Forest Research Institute of Malaysia since 2005. And she was also a visiting scholar to the University of Georgia in the United States before in 2030. And she is still affiliated with renowned organizations in Malaysia as well as abroad. And she is a registered chemist in Malaysia, and also vice president for Malaysian Society of Soil Sciences, a member of FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization, Soil Pollution Working Group, like IUC and Mangrove Group, so specialist group, and Scientific Advisory and Commentary East Asia Acid Deposition Network. So her CV, it's mesmerizing to me. And she has published with the vast experience. Dr. Jeyanny has published so many research articles and also books, nearly 8 books and 6 chapters in the books, and peer-reviewed publications more than 30. And she has been editor proceeding editor for 13 proceedings, and also she published full-length papers in the proceedings for more than 60 publications in Finland. So it's wonderful to have you, and I think it needs still 30 more minutes to talk to brief these all details. It's an excellent CV you are holding, and you are such a nice person, kind enough to agree to deliver your talk today. And dear friends, today we have a talk entitled "Research Opportunities and Challenges Towards Ecological Resilience of Mangrove Forest Ecosystem." Is really one of the burning topic, and many people are still looking into this kind of research opportunities and challenges, not only from the students' perspective side, also from the researchers like me. Yes, indeed, we have a lot of things to learn every day, because the mangrove ecosystem is a natural laboratory. It's keep on influenced by various environmental conditions every day, every minute. So the things keep on changing. So it is always remains as enthusiastic field as well as challenging field for mangrove scientists. So it is nice, and without further ado, I would like to welcome Jeyanny to deliver your talk, and thank you very much, Jeyanny. Please proceed. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Satyam, for the kind introduction. That was so nice of you to introduce me for this talk. And I also would like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Natra Iksan from UPM for inviting me to give some insights on the research that we have been doing in FRIM. I hope that it is beneficial for all the participants who are here live today. Please allow me to share my screen.
Yes.
Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay, let me do some adjustments. All right. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Good morning for joining me for this talk. My title today would be Research Opportunities as well as Challenges towards Mangrove Ecological Resilience in mangrove forest ecosystems. Just give me a minute. Okay, I think let's just first define what is ecological resilience. So some of the authors before this have actually come to the conclusion that it is the amount of disturbance that actually an ecosystem could withstand without changing its self-organized processes and structures. Of course, some other authors do think that after it has gone through a disturbance, it's the time that it actually returned to the stable state following a perturbation. We also have to understand that how it is measured. It is measured by the magnitude of disturbance that can be absorbed before the system redefines its structure by changing the variables and processes that control behavior. So, ladies and gentlemen, the word ecological resilience was first coined by the late Canadian ecologist C.S. Holling. So the paper that I show here is dated 1973. He is quite renowned. He spoke about how important is resilience and stability in ecological systems. So if for these talks now, what we can do is to show you what are the research directions that FRIM has embarked on since 2005, the opportunities, the challenges that we went through because we got this new role as being the secretariat under the Ministry of Environment in Malaysia to spearhead all research related to mangrove forest ecosystems. And this is a great opportunity for me to share with you what we have done, what we have not done, and what are the directions that you can move forward to based on our experience. So, ladies and gentlemen, we know that Malaysia is one of the biggest mega biodiversity country in the world. So you can see here our forest is of course divided into several stratas, from the montane forest up to the coastal mangroves that I'll be talking about today. Of course, both peat swamps and coastal mangroves in our country is categorized as wetlands. So out of the 32 million hectares of forest of land that we have in Malaysia, at least 58% is forest. And more or less, we are also into the campaign of the 100 million tree planting campaign in Malaysia, which is initiated by our ministry. You can see the website here if you want to know more information regarding how you can actually be part of this campaign. So from the 58% of forest, the biggest chunk lays in Sarawak in East Malaysia, 43%, 32 in Peninsular Malaysia, and another 15 in Sabah. So this image actually shows you the one of our visits in Matang. This was done in about 2008 or 2009. So you see how big are the mangrove trees here and how small we are compared to the ecosystem that it actually has. So let's move on to the statistics on mangrove. Basically, in 2017, we found that the amount of mangrove area in Malaysia, a study which was done by my colleague here, Dr. Hamdan Omar, it is close to about 0.6 million hectares, or 629,000 hectares. And the biggest portion is being held in Sabah, 60%, 22 in Sarawak, and 18 in Peninsular Malaysia. And looking at Peninsular Malaysia, the biggest portion of mangrove area is in Perak and in Johor. He also has reported that the average rate of change from 1990 to 27 is about 0.13% due to the economical uses of the local communities there, as well as other factors. So we know that mangrove ecosystems are very important to our coastal land. Why? Because they are the main buffer system to protect us from storms. You know, they help in flood mitigation. they also help to reduce salt water intrusion that can actually kill our fauna as well as crops. They protect our buffers from heavy metal pollution that may come or intrude from the ocean. They are also important ecosystem in carbon sequestration. Now we are moving into blue carbon and whatnot, and also control sea level rise. We cannot deny that this ecosystem holds a big chunk of our biodiversity, whereby most of the areas under mangroves serve as a marine breeding organisms for aquaculture use. Besides that, we also have different types of disasters that strike our coastal mangroves, such as the mangrove dryback, which happened in 2009 here, where we had an increment of sand accretion. Was the original level of mangrove soil. Then we had increased sand accretion, which actually killed this mangrove. But however, after we went there back after 2 years, we saw that it started to rejuvenate back. So these are the traits that our mangroves has to rejuvenate and to withstand whatever disasters that it strikes itself. Besides the roles that I've shared with you before this, we have to remember that there are new emerging roles that are coming into our mangrove ecosystems, such as the wood products. Before this, we were only using it as a charcoal, for charcoal. But now the trees such as the Rhizophora species, or in Malay we say bakau minyak or bakau kurap, it is used for tanning, it's used for furniture, or even wood vinegar. And of course, from the wood itself, they are able to taking the cellulose as nanomaterials, which is used for biodegradable packaging. Of course, with the new improvement of next generation sequencing tools that we have now, scientists are able to do drug discovery initiatives at looking at antibiotics in mangrove forest ecosystems, the bacterial communities that they play there, even for biofertilizers, and last but not least, it's blue carbon. But bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, whatever that I've listed here is not exhaustive. The current trend is evolving day by day, and I believe that most of the mangrove scientists will also agree with me on this. So this is a study which was done by one professor from Prof. Sahadev Sharma. He has actually did a review from 1980 to 2017. So in the gist, that what we can get here is that at least papers that are related to mangrove, 50% is moving towards marine freshwater biology, environmental sciences, and ecology. So these are some of the research disciplines that you can also think about in the near future. Besides that, he also has shown that there's close to about 1,927 publications related to mangrove carbon and mangrove climate change. And this is also another avenue for you to look at it. So let me go into the research that we have been doing in FRIM. So I got introduced to mangrove research probably in year 2007. I came in 2005. So we were doing our pilot work in Sungai Haji Durrani, Sungai Besar Selangor. This area was totally degraded. They placed geotubes there in order to reduce the erosion effects from the ocean. When we had to go in, it was not easy. You can see that our staffs here trying to collect the soils from the tidal marshes. The only way to move in there was with this yellow tray that we have. You know, if not, we will be stuck inside. We won't be able to come out because the mud is almost waist deep. And we also put in erosion pins, and we went in measuring every month to see what was the erosion trends in this area. What was the main thing that we found was that when every time there is action, there's a reaction whereby when one area is being eroded, another area is being accreted. So this is what we did here. Besides the soil work that we did, our scientists were also working on ways on rehabilitating this area with planted mangrove species, and it somehow helped to rehabilitate back the mangroves in the long term. So here are more pictures showing you how the area, it was structureless. In a soil scientist term, we would call it massive because it has no texture. It has texture, but there is no structure. But somehow in 2016, it formed a good structure. Okay, here are more examples of the research that we were doing, like what Dr. Satyam mentioned. Due to my background in precision agriculture and with the team that I worked with Dr. Siva from UPM, we were able to come up with decision maps to show what were the elements of carbon and nitrogen being spatially varied using geostatistical tools in these two areas in mudflats and old growth vegetation. And then we became a bit more daring. Instead of just looking at soil physical and chemical properties, we started moving on into biological properties. We wanted to look at how did the microbacteria differed in an old growth vegetation as well as in the mudflat. So you can see there was some differences in the population of protobacteria here, as well as the chloroflexi. The chloroflexi was about 11% in the old growth vegetation and about 5% in the mudflats. So this is the area that we were looking at. So this was the picture that I showed you before. It was totally mudflats in 2007, 2008. But with the initiatives from FRIM scientists on replanting as well as natural regeneration, which was happening here, the geotube was placed here actually, and you can't see it anymore. It was broken. So somehow the coastline got restored and rejuvenated again. So after doing that work, we moved on into a different area, which is in Tanjung Piai. Some who have been there, you know that it was a tourist spot whereby it is known as the southwestern tip of the Asia. So this is where we went to look at the microbial diversity in the mudflats. It wasn't easy for us to collect samples here because we had to follow the tidal waves. We were at 7 a.m. or 7:15 a.m. in order to rush and go in and collect the samples and come back before the water comes in. So these were some of the, I would say, not challenges, but experience that we gained when we went sampling, because this was also a first time for us working in mangroves before this. And as long as you have the passion and the inquisitive initiative to know, I think you would enjoy your work in research when you're dealing with any types of ecosystem that you're looking at. So here we have already published the work for the PI mangroves. It is available in this paper in JTFS, and we are looking at how it actually differs with the values or even communities that we have picked up in the Matang mangroves. So this work is still in progress. We'll be publishing it soon. Besides knowing who are the community in this mangrove ecosystem, probably we have to move forward a bit to see what are they doing, what are the functional analysis related to this microbial population, how are they enhancing maybe the soil nutrient dynamics or even the soil microfauna dynamics of the area, for us to understand more on how they can actually help us in conserving this environment. So the image that I'm putting here, the figure here, actually shows you the hierarchy of the species, which is usually common in a natural mangrove ecosystem. So this is something of a guideline that we can also use in order for us to set our research in. So moving on to blue carbon and also climate change mitigation of coastal ecosystem. If you go to this website, the Blue Carbon Initiative, I think scientists have come to the terms of understanding how important mangroves are, whereby at least 83% of the global carbon cycles are in the ocean. And you see at least 50% of the sediment actually sequestrating carbon, even your tidal marshes here. What happens is that these tidal marshes, when they are at equilibrium level, they don't actually emit any carbon, because all the dissolved organic carbon are inside that environment. But once there is perturbation and all that, so all this carbon starts to come out and it may be lost. So usually the Blue Carbon Initiative stressed out on the mangroves, the tidal marshes, as well as the seagrass. So here's one example of a study being done on blue carbon oxidation assessment. So they use these radiogenic and stable isotopes. They sampled the pore waters. So what they found was that when due to the bioturbation which was happening there, let's say by the microfauna like the crabs and all that, they found that the bioturbation was able to bring out the aged carbon, meaning that the old carbon from the deeper layer into the surface. So once it is on the surface, what happens is that they will start to decompose and mineralize. Another study here in Nature Communications by Peter McCready shows you on how he actually reported on the importance of seagrasses and how they are related to precipitation. When there is very high precipitation, somehow the population of seagrasses can also reduce. He looked at how ocean acidification would actually reduce the loss of will increase the carbon in the ocean. And from here he somehow came up with this model on fitting in monetary values. You can see here, whereby the mangroves are valued as in payment for ecosystem services about $91,000, followed by the seagrasses here. So these are some things that we need to evolve our research into, to fitting into dollars and cents to the research that you're doing, in order to show how profitable it is to be shown for the relevant government, the policy makers, to conserve or even preserve or rehabilitate back whatever that we have lost. So moving on into social economy, we know that these coastal ecosystems are very important for the livelihood of the community. This picture was taken when I went sampling at Sungai Haji Durrani. This pakcik here, this uncle, was collecting cockles, to be sold. And of course, if you have not visited, there's this place in Kampung Kuantan where it is a good area for you to go firefly watching. There's a riverine mangroves here. This was me with my son, and of course during the day I'm on the boat with my staffs here doing research. So you see how important mangroves are to the livelihood of the local people. Even our FRIM scientists were able to help them in engaging them on teaching them how to prepare jam and tea from the species that they have. And this is the site where the MEITA project is going on, the Mangrove Recreation Park in Sijangkang, where all these IoT sensors are being fit in. It is such a good initiative that this community here has taken hold of this responsibility to protect their mangroves and to manage this recreation park And it is very delighting for all the researchers and the scientists who are involved in the MEITA project here to support and empower them to monitor this area. Here's the area that I told you before this, the Tanjung Piai Port. So before this, in 2009, there was a big area that you could walk in and take photos. But unfortunately, when we went in 2017, this area was no more. It was only substituted with a boardwalk like this. So mangroves are like this. They are very dynamic. You see them today, you see them tomorrow, but somehow they are considered resilient. So it is our duty, not only as a scientist or a research officer, or even as the local community, we have to make sure that somehow we understand how they work, as well as to do our best to give them some space to grow, as well as for rehabilitation. Okay, this is more related to industry. Like I told you before, basically the wood is used for charcoal and firewood before this. But now the kayu bakau, the Rhizophora species can be used for furniture, for deco, for even they are used for activated carbon air filters, which can be used in air purifiers. Scientists are coming up with new novel methods on how they can use this cellulose from mangroves to create films for manufacturing. And this work has been done by all our FRIM scientists. You are most welcome to come and see us and talk to us if you need to know more information. This is another work by my colleague here, who was able to come out with wood vinegar, which was able to be eco-friendly pesticide to help reduce pest incidents. So from the FRIM's research that we have, you can see that from the harvest of the Rhizophora species, they have reported that the income generation for furniture is close to about 8 folds more compared to the income generation that they get from charcoal. So here's another work from my colleague, Dr. Hamdan, where he has shown how remote sensing, I think Dr. Satya would agree with me, using all these tools on measurement and monitoring of mangrove forest cover change, how mangrove changes from 1990 to 2017. They are also able to come up with on the emission factors based on the coverage of the mangrove, which has changed by decades or even annually. So, ladies and gentlemen, the point here that I would like to push to you is that all this while we have been talking about sustainability. So when we say sustainability, it is being supported by economics, environment, and social dimensions. But I think time has come to make a paradigm shift into something of what is being needed, such as circular economy, whereby we need to look at the efficiency and recycling in the production of ecosystem, how we can actually initiate bio-based energy and material through knowledge and innovation, as well as green economy on using nature-based solutions and conservation. So these are some of the points that we may have to look at in our future directions of research, as well as writing proposals. So moving on, of course, I'm a soil scientist. I am not so well in technology-based equipments or even applications, but I'm still learning. We have moved from the normal information system towards artificial intelligence, robotics, machine learning, as well as deep learning. So the younger generation should be able to grasp this, as well as move forward on putting up their way forward on how they can do proper directions. Like here, you can see that Dr. Natra's team with all her colleagues have put up all these sensors, sensor-based equipments in the Kampung Sijangkang area to measure pH, as well as humidity and all that. So if you need to know more, you can always contact here. And here is one study where it has been conceptualized on a decision support system system on looking at air quality, water quality for environmental pollutions. So this was actually came about in order to reduce any complex problems that we may face in terms of, let's say, a disaster in the coastal area. Okay, more towards technocentric opportunities. You can see that some scientists have created a mud skipper robot compared to the natural mud skipper that we have in coastal mangroves. So this mud skipper is supposed to work in measuring the viscosity of the mud, when it moves on the tidal marshes. And here you have the vision-based semi-autonomous mangrove patrolling robot. It also has several sensors for temperature, pH. It also being fit with a HD camera where it kind of like patrols the mangrove area and takes photo and shows, how, what are the intruders or what are the animals being there. So this would be very important for me in my context when we are doing some rehabilitation work. We have planted our mangrove seedlings, and when we see the cows and the birds are trying to destroy our plants, so we could quickly go back to the site to do some remediation measures. So here is, I've just put up one slide from Dr. Natra's team on how she is actually using the elements of MEITA to incorporate mangrove environment, biodiversity, Internet of Things, and socio-economic. So for more information, please visit this website that I've given here. So here are some of the outputs that we have come about from the research that we have been doing in FRIM since 2005, 2006. Yeah. So some are written by me, some by my colleagues here. We also had very good students doing their final year projects who was able to come up with 3 final year projects, Miss Maisara Nares and Miss Nurul Shahira. And then we also have papers that I have uploaded in my research gate. If you have more if you need more information, you are kindly invited to go and visit that link. So I'm going to end my talk soon. So just to recap on what I have shared. So we understand that mangroves is a fragile yet resilient ecosystem with mutual benefits. You take care of mangroves and mangroves will take care of you. Of course, there are many opportunities and challenges. Try not to reinvent the wheel what your predecessors or your ancestors have done before, but try to embrace new technologies that can actually serve both research and applications alike. Also bear in mind that synergistic partnerships like the MEITA group collaborators is very important, are essential for successful research that benefits common good. Finally, keep in mind that integration of models and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are the new paradigms that we should take into consideration for future research. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to acknowledge all these parties who have played important roles in coming up with the publications, the research work that we have done. We also had teams from UPM, from this Shaira used to be my practical trainee. Somehow she loved the work that we were doing, and now she's being employed in FRIM, taking care of the mangrove project. We welcome students who want to do industrial training with us or need us to co-supervise their work. So with that, thank you.
Great, Dr. Jeyanny. It was so fabulous. Thank you so much for delivering such an excellent talk. And it was so informative, so useful to the students and researchers. And no doubt about it, we have some couple of questions. Maybe you can unshare your screen now.
Sure. Hold on, Dr. Satya. Option.
Yes, perfect. It was so nice. It's really a wonderful talk, and even I to learn. And so I have some question. I have a question in the sense some opinion view because you are working on it. And there were 2 questions actually they posed. in the chat box. One is from Ramli Ahmad. He's saying role of phytoplankton in carbon sequestration and valued in blue carbon. Do you have any feedback on this?
Okay, thank you for the question. Phytoplanktons also play an important role in carbon sequestration and also blue carbon. There are a lot of researches being conducted now, and I see that there are new emerging publications on this. So I would agree with Ramli that this is also one portion that we have to look at for blue carbon.
Thank you. I think the paper which you have shown just now, blue carbon, the future of the blue carbon in nature. I think they already indicated, coastal plankton, contribution
Yes.
in terms of, blue carbon economy. I think that maybe the Ramli Ahmad can go through such kind of publications.
Yeah, he
You
should
have
go through the website as well as find out more. I think there is available there.
exactly. I agree. There was one more question from Sadaba. He was still surprised to see the mangrove destruction for furniture. Indeed, yes, that is he has a valid point, and maybe you can give some explanation for it.
Okay, so the work that we did in FRIM was actually looking at some of the excess woods which were, how to say, rejected from the use of charcoal. So we took back the debris from there, from the charcoal factories, to be used for furniture making. It was not of going in and cutting the trees to do that. Yeah.
But there are. Do you think there are places where, for example, Matang, we have pole extraction and charcoal extraction. Of course, it has both pros and cons. How do you look into that aspect actually? I'm
So
asking this particular question in relation to COP26 conference. We just we all listen to the burning climate change issues. And almost all over the leaders from all over the world, they promised again to bring down the deforestation, and by 2030. That's what I heard about it. And by the countries like India, they was to really reduce the emissions by 2070. So this kind of big targets they put it. So how this kind of promise can affect the ongoing management or whatsoever. May I have some kind of insights from you. Also, yeah, in support of Sadaba.
okay, so we cannot run away that both human and there's always the human and environment conflict, not only in mangroves, even in different forest ecosystems. So the only way that we can look at it is that how do you actually engage the local community on educating them and giving them awareness on what are they doing and what is the big impact that they are creating by extracting whatever that they want in big quantities that can harm the environment. Of course, if you are using it just for your own purpose, it is a different story. But if you're going to make it into how to say, more on profit making, something that we have to look at. And if their income is going to come from that extraction or of using mangrove coastal ecosystem, how does the government are going to give them incentives or compensate them? We have to look at these strategies, Dr. Satyam. If
Yes,
not,
yes.
it is very difficult for us to move forward with one group saying we have to save the environment, we have to protect our coastal ecosystems, but probably these are the local communities who depend on those ecosystems for income generation. So the government should set policies on how much they can extract, as well as how they can compensate and give them another venue where they can actually generate income for themselves. Yeah.
Probably, yeah, you're correct. I think there is alternatives for the dependent communities. That makes a lot of difference. But still, sometimes it is also difficult to change the mindset of the local communities. That's
So
where
that
we
is
need.
why I would advocate teaching the younger generation, not from at university level, from school level. Let's forget about the, I wouldn't say forget, I know the old generations or the senior citizens have that mindset, but how do you want to move forward with this environmental conservation as well as using the item sustainability into the school curriculum, where they understand, better. And these
Exactly.
are the best institutes that can educate our future generation. If not, we will lose everything in the future.
Totally agree. Totally excellent, excellent. I think that's really you're correct up to the point. Exactly. And also we have a question from Natra saying that how microbial stability in mangroves alter with the tidal actions. Do you have any insights about it? Microbial stability in relation
Sorry,
to the.
is it in the chat uh
Yeah, it was in the
okay,
chat.
I'm wondering
Yeah, microbial stability in mangroves with the tidal actions.
Yeah, so this was something that we also wanted to look at. So we did sampling twice, and we only reported one of it. But somehow rather we found that the mangrove microbial community is quite resilient. Actually, they don't change so much. They when they are under a lot of stress, they adapt to the environment and they stay put there. Mm.
Right. So hope Natra is clear about it now. And we received one more a question from Ramli Ahmad. Where do we draw a line between planting of mangroves on mudflat and protecting mudflat, shorebird and other organisms that live in the mudflats? Yeah.
That is quite a difficult question. Even I don't know where to draw the line. So, like my team in FRIM, that's why what we did was that we kind of like determined the soil textural properties on the values of sand, clay, and silt. And when we report those values, we know that some of the area is suitable for planting of mangroves. Some of the area should be just left like that. And from the presentation that I showed you, the mud skipper robot, even that does the same. Apparently, it actually tests and also assesses the viscosity of the mud in the area. They are trying to come up with this idea where the mud is more viscous, it is better to plant. So there is no one rule that fits all. So it goes by the area, the environmental conditions, as well as the nature of the soil properties there.
I think that's true. You're correct. We really have to look into the sedimentological properties to to carry out the mangrove plantations or how much the left. Probably once the plantation is successful, there will be a succession takes place, especially at the borders. So the sediment is the one which has a active role, which has keep forming with the tides and with the discharged water and so forth. So I think it is a continuous process. It's an active zone for the sediment recycling materials. So that all what decides for finally where to stop and where to conduct the mangrove plantations. I would say also the same thing. And there is one more question, there are many types of carbon greenhouse gases, got carbon, sulfur dioxide, etc. But is it fair for us to only focus on blue carbon to determine the importance to conserve the mangroves? Instead, taking account on other types of carbon such as the brown and black carbon.
So I would agree with Mr. Saleh. We have to look at it in different perspectives. We can't just look at blue carbon. Yes, many people are also doing research in brown and black carbon.
Yeah.
So, but there is no rule again, to show that which one actually gives you better estimates or even better, accumulation of carbon. Of course, there's nitrous oxide emission from rice fields and all that. These are also that's something that we have to look at. we can't do everything, but if you try to put in your energy and try to work with the relevant institution or what, so probably we could actually come up with looking at different gases in different environment, as well as, like he said, brown, blue, and black carbon. So that is where that your synergistic partnership has to come in order to fit the equation.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Really. Yeah, exactly. But among the estimates so far, blue carbon is somewhat has a higher ability to mitigate the global warming. That's where it gained considerable attention, I would say, the scientific literature, also the real point of view. There is one more question from I don't see really the full name, Divya, from Divya. How is the current research based on modeling carbon in mangroves of Malaysia?
Okay, mangrove, I mean carbon, are you talking about the above ground carbon? Are you talking about the below ground carbon? That is very important. Of
That's
course,
correct.
now we already have all these NDVI indexes in order to model the carbons in the above ground vegetation. And scientists overseas are actually using some soil carbon modeling tools to estimate in normal forests as well as other areas, but this has not been fully utilized or being tested yet in the mangrove forests. For mangrove forests, we are hoping that in a near time we will able to come up with some estimates using developed models. But there's also a thing that we have to remember, that these models were created to such an environment, probably in a foreign country, and it may not fully perfectly fit what we want to see in Malaysia. So I would advise that whatever models that you're using, use it with your own discretion, as well as be cautious.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, model has is like a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be very careful, especially for the model. My friends, Divya, also it is always good to have a current database, the results from the recent research works. Otherwise, it gives a wrong signals also. So the model incorporating database, it's good to have the recent data sets such that you can have a better predictions for the mangrove conservation
Mm-hmm.
or any conservation of it. Because any mathematical softwares or even normal statistics, just garbage in and garbage out. If you give the garbage, you will going to get the garbage out. So how
Yeah.
trustworthy your finding, your parameterization in the
Mm-hmm.
modeling is, how much trustworthy, how confident, how recent the data, that what really matters for the outcome of the modeling.
Yeah, doctor.
We
That's why we need to do that ground truthing. Is very important
exactly,
to
yeah,
compare both data from the models as well as from the natural work that you do on the mangrove. As long as you're willing to go waist deep with a yellow colored tray to go into the mud flats, you are most welcome to come and visit us.
exactly. I still remember we compared our ground truthing results with the models. Some of the models already expected different age limits for the pinning practice in Matang. There are so many
Mhm.
publications. We highlighted that particular point of the data. Some people use the data from 80s and 90s, which to
Mhm.
predict the thinning practices for 20s. Maybe it
Okay.
is too long, so that's what we advise, to have a recent current estimates to implement such kind of thinning practices or management practices. Right. So the last question, there is one more on the use of geotube from Sadaba again. Are there any alternatives, because geotubes are expensive?
Yeah, geotubes are expensive. I agree with Sadaba, because like when they put in the geotubes there in Sungai Haji Durrani, it was one of the pilot project that they were doing. And of course, with the environmental, effects and all that, it started to break and also, decay. So there are many ways. Even you have to talk to the irrigation, drainage and irrigation departments. They have put in like many different constructions, it's still expensive. I think protecting coastal area is, it involves a lot of construction
Exactly,
work. Yeah,
exactly.
so
Yeah,
it
that's
is
true.
still expensive. There are just different alternatives, but they are also come with costs.
Exactly, exactly.
Mm.
Actually, in this particular point, I also have another view. Also, to me, geotube still serves better. Maybe correct me if I were wrong. Still serves better when compared with the concrete,
What
breakwaters.
do you call it? Gibbons, is it? Gibbons, something. I cannot remember the word. So those bricks which are
Yeah,
interlocking each other.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And a
Uh,
breakwater is also equally expensive. And
yes.
what we, for example, right opposite to my office, I can see the sea that has eroded because of the airport construction extension of
Mhm.
the runway. So they started making the breakwaters not to have erosion to the University of Malaysia Terengganu. But because of these concrete structures, the waves started showing the impact at the nearby location.
See,
Again, they
that's
got
what
to they
happens.
got to go for one more breakwater, and it is further moving, it's keep on moving to the north. So probably when I compare with such kind of consequences, due to maybe much better because it's a floating structure, isn't it?
Yes, yes. So it's like that. Like what I told you, every action has a reaction. When you put a breakwater here, it starts eroding another area. So I am not very expert on this
Yeah, that's true.
engineering technicality. So I cannot answer the
Yeah, yeah, of course,
question fully.
of course, everybody can understand that one.
Hmm.
And there is a last question again. Are you looking for pollen in soil samples?
No, Dr. Nasuda, I was not looking for pollen because my sampling was first looking at the levels of elements like nitrogen, phosphorus in the beginning part, and then later on moved into the bacterial communities there. I did not look at pollens in the soil samples.
For Sudha, I have a recommendation for you. Probably the Petronas Institute in Bangi, in Kuala
Bangi,
Lumpur. They must be looking into pollen because I remember, like, I used to have a very good association because they were the one working on foraminifera. So at the time, I got a project on foraminifera. So we had a app together, and at the time, they informed me some people are looking into the foraminifera because some of the students from UMT went to Bangi for the training on foraminifera identification. So there is also a team working on pollens. Probably that is the right place for you to see. This is just my personal view, but there must be some other institutes looking at that samples as well, pollen samples, so you can explore further. So yeah, that's fine. I think we almost end with the questions on time. It is 11 o'clock the time. But I have a last question, Dr. Jeyanny, just out of curiosity, because
okay.
you were mentioning in the very first slide about the 100 million plantation.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's really a wonderful thing because
Uh-huh.
now, as a mangrove ecologist, we started getting angry at anybody saying plantations because sometimes they are going for too much plantation of the mangroves in a very short area, and most of the times they are ending up with the failed plantations rather than the successful plantations. So under the circumstances, we are the one really preferring to have a natural recruitment first. In case if the natural recruitment doesn't work properly, then the alternative is the plantation. So that is the one we are promoting. But I just want to know what kind of species or what kind of areas you have been talking about this 100 million of plantations. Are they all mangrove?
No, no, Dr. Satya. This is not all mangrove. So this is an initiative by the Ministry of Environment, KETSA. So we are planting not only in mangroves as per se, it's also in different ecosystem like peatland, lowland. Within FRIM forest stations. We have research stations. So that's what we are looking at. So it is very important because to look at when you are planting, mainly you have to look at the mud, structure. You can't just simply introduce some species into the muddy area. You remember the figure that I showed you, the intertidal region? So you have to follow what nature tells you to do. So that's why I said that probably you could initiate that planting in a small quantity and let the nature take its course into natural regeneration. First you have your Avicennia species, then only you have your your, how to say, Rhizophora species. So these are the things as an ecologist that we have to understand and try to initiate a bit, protect that coastal environment. Then of course duly the nature will take its course to populate these areas.
I totally agree. I think
Mm.
that's the one, everybody should respect the nature. So
Yes, I agree with you.
yeah, like the way you said, when you protect mangroves, mangroves protects you. So the
Yes.
same concept we can go with it, with the nature of plantations and respecting the nature. Nature is very important, and we have to protect it. And the last, it is let me see. There is a poll comment. Currently exploring payment for ecosystem services programs as conservation solutions for wetlands in Malaysia focused on peat swamp forest with algae. Does FRIM have a consolidated database on think the value of products of wetlands Malaysia? Does FRIM have a consolidated database on the value of
No,
the products of
we don't have that kind of database. Very sorry, Paul. So what we have is that scattered publications on on the value of products by different divisions. FRIM is just not dealing with forests. We are also dealing with we have a drug discovery program. We have the herbal products program. We have the biodiversity team who looks into fauna. So in order for you to get this, probably I would suggest you can come and have a talk with us, or even come and visit our library to get in more information on this. Yeah.
I was in FRIM library, and to explore the old management plans from
Mm.
Matang, 1930s and 20s.
Yeah.
It's super, it's excellent, and myself and Farid were there.
We
I,
also have an excellent herbarium, one of the best herbariums in Malaysia. If you need to do any species identification of flora and all that, we can surely, you can write into us, and somebody from the biodiversity division can help you with that.
Perfect. Thank you, Jeyanny. I think we have very good partners like you and Hamdan to collaborate with in future, and it is also, you open the doors for everyone who have joined today. More than 55 people participants today, and thank you so much for being with us and to share your knowledge, and also highlighting the challenges and the opportunities for the connecting research on mangrove. Thank you very much once again, and I leave it to you, Natra.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Natra, would you like to say
Thank you,
something?
Jeyanny, and also yes. I would like actually to share a little bit on MEITA, because I noticed also there's a lot of participation out of the MEITA group. So just to share with you a little bit on MEITA. So it's actually a project funded by the EU with the title of Sustainable Aquatic Resource Management in Mangrove Ecosystem via Internet of Things application. All right. Okay, so it's actually this project is it involves using network research and education network, connecting universities and also research center, not only in the Asia Pacific region but also in the European region. So we have that is why our collaborators come from academicians from different universities. All right. And then under this project, we have around 8 countries who are involved, okay, and with 7 different international universities. And from Malaysia itself, we have 4 different local universities, okay, such as UPM, UKM, UTM, and also UMT. Okay, thank you. Dr. Satyam is from UMT, and we also have FRIM, who are also interested to join the program, and we do welcome anyone who would like to join. Please, you are all always welcome. All right, so under this project, we also have our own website. Okay, the MEITA website is the link there. Okay, you can just Google it, okay, and you can know more about the project in this website. Other than the website, we also have YouTube, okay, Instagram, and also Facebook. But the Facebook is basically maintained by the community of this MEITA project site. All right, I'll just skip this, but the vision of this project is actually to inspire innovation using technologies such as IoT, artificial intelligence, robotics, and then active engagement between different parties toward the sustainability of mangrove. And our mission is to connect all the people globally, all right, on the conservation of mangrove ecosystem and its resources through the use of technology. I'm not an expert on mangrove. So we have here Dr. Satyam, we have also Dr. Jeyanny. So there's a lot, mangrove is a very important ecosystem, all right? And then for this project, we have actually selected one specific site, which is the Kampung Sijangkang in Selangor, Malaysia. Just now, Dr. Jen, about this site to all of you. This site is actually maintained. They have somehow developed the park from a landfill to become a mangrove recreational park. All right. So that is what interesting about this site. So you are, if you have the time, please, please visit there. There's a small charge. This is just for the community to maintain the park. But from there, you can really enjoy the mangrove itself. All right. And in the site also, all right, we have, under the MEITA project, we did several studies, all right, where at this stage is still beginning, but we're getting, we're advancing every day. It's just because of the COVID, somehow we are stuck, but now we are doing our work again, all right. So we have been collecting samples in terms of looking at the aquatic biodiversity on the site. And what is interesting is we also have installed, all the sensors where we can monitor all the diversity and also on the mangrove itself. All right. From the website, you can also see the MEITA dashboard. So you can see all the parameters that we have been taking, in real time through this MEITA dashboard. All right. Okay, other than that, we also have collaborators from Universiti Technology Malaysia, led by Prof. Atif. Just now, IoT led by Prof. Adewati, while the biodiversity group is led by Dr. Annie. Mangrove is Dr. Satyam and also Dr. Aldri. So the robotics group are looking at mapping the mangrove ecosystem using drone and also coming out with robots. All right, just to see and for the conservation of mangrove in general. Okay, we have come a long way. Okay, actually this project is at the end of its it's at the end actually, but then after working with a number of scientists, I can see this is actually just the beginning of a bigger opportunities. So I would like to welcome anyone who would like to continue further what we have been working so far. You can always apply another grant, and I would support you in terms of in basically starting with what we have already in Kampung Sijangkang, and also utilization of IoT and robotics in the village itself. So we have quite a number of activities, different talks, symposium, webinar. We also have had, we also have had online courses where around 50 UC students participated. This is more on the introduction of IoT. And then we also have, we just conducted a webinar series. This is targeted especially for the elementary and also secondary student. All right. And from this talk, we received around more than 500 participants. And this is with the collaboration of Malaysian Nature Society. I thank Dr. Evelyn for the initiative. This is also with the collaboration of Ministry of Education Malaysia. And now we are actually in the midst of this MEITA International IoT Challenge. So a number of participants are here. They are now trying to come out with prototype ideas in terms of using technology to conserve the mangrove ecosystem. So thank you, Dr. Jeyanny, for the nice talk. All right.
Most welcome.
So the participant can learn more, okay, about the mangrove and what are the challenges, okay, in mangrove. And before Dr. Jeyanny, we also have our doctoral candidate who has given a talk on mangrove and its biodiversity, Wana Fatin, and also Ms. Fareha talking about water quality in mangrove region. Other than that, we have had already Prof. Atif and his team, conducting a special workshop for the challenge participants to learn more about robotics and AI. Prof. Atif also came out with a special pitching training session. All right. And today we have Dr. Jeyanny as a speaker, talking further on mangrove forest ecosystem, and with the excellent moderation of Dr. Satyam. And don't forget, please join us tomorrow. We have another session with Prof. Farida Hanum. All right. Please mark your calendar tomorrow from 3 to 4 p.m. Okay, if that's all from me, thank you. But before we adjourn, can we at least have a group picture? Can you please turn on your video so we can have a group picture? Thank you all for joining the session. Really appreciate your time. Okay, wait, let me, all right. There are quite a number of layers. Okay, you can just smile. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, the second layer. Wait, all right. Okay, smile again. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, and then the last layer. Okay, ready? Smile again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Natra, for giving this opportunity. And thanks everyone joining, and have a good day. Hey, hi, Alri.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
for joining. Dr. Nasuda.
Thank you, Dr. Adri. Thank you, Dr. Natra, Dr. Satyam.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. See
All the
you.
best.
See you
Bye.
in Malaysia. Bye.
Yeah, see you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All the best, Jeyanny. Good luck.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, Jeyanny. Thank you. Okay, bye, everyone.